Welcome back, everybody. My name is Ross, and today I'm going to give you guys the complete history of Far Cry. For those of you who don't already know, Far Cry is a first-person shooter game where you defeat mercenaries, pirates, mutant monkeys, whatever. Anyway, let's go all the way back to 2004 when the first Far Cry game came out. Far Cry 1 was originally made by Crytek, and it was to test out the new CryEngine software. But then soon after, they turned it into Far Cry. It was a really impressive looking game ever made at the time. The game relied on an open world type of level design that is not really open world. Far Cry was inspired by campy action titles. Nonetheless, it became all the rage. It became inspired by many more video games in the coming decade. Anyway, let's go on to the next Far Cry game. Soon after Far Cry 1, Crytek signed a deal with Ubisoft and gave them both the name and the engine to use in their future games. So, 4 years later, they released Far Cry 2. With Ubisoft now owning the Far Cry IP, Far Cry 2 takes a different direction than the last game. Inspired by the original game for one, featuring a new style, and featuring a setting that was unique for FPS games at the time. Far Cry 2 has a huge open world map. Africa has never looked this authentic in a video game. The vastness of the areas left people no choice but to depend on vehicles and the map. This is now a physical object used to explore the wilderness. Anyway, let's go on to the next game. 4 years later, Far Cry 3 is really where Far Cry started to get popular. There is a more interesting storyline to this game, particularly because of the game's main villain, Vaas. It is set in a tropical island like the previous games, with its graphical design. Far Cry 3 is more colorful. Every system from the game brought much more attention. Vehicles handled to the new and improved leveling and hunting mechanics. Though the biggest change of all was how this installment handled the story. No longer just an excuse to blow stuff up, it offered real and acceptably deep and well thought out characters. Anyway, let's go on to the next installment. 2 years later, they released Far Cry 4. With the success of Far Cry 3, Ubisoft was tasked to release a new title to rival all the Far Cry games titles. The setting is in Kyrat, a small Himalayan country. Far Cry 4 has many more weapons. It has a bigger world than the previous game. The main villain, Pagan Min, is one of the best villains in video games. Anyway, let's go on to the next game and the last game. 4 years later, they released Far Cry 5, my favorite game of the franchise. But instead of being on a tropical island, you were in the made-up Hope County, Montana. Radio towers were removed due to popular demand. The game is inspired by real-world doomsday cults. The main villain, Joseph Seed, is also a really good villain. They added a new ability to fly airplanes and a new arcade mode. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Until then, goodbye for now.